Tánaiste, in 2011 when you became Fianna Fáil leader, you said you were determined that, quote, we understand the lessons. You said when you became Fianna Fáil leader in 2011 that you were determined that we understand the lessons of what has gone wrong in recent years. And now, as you know, this morning the government's own Fiscal Advisory Council has slammed this budget for, quote, repeating past mistakes, particularly around excessive spending. Could you elucidate on what specific lessons have been learned in the last 13 years in the context of IFAC's criticisms?
Yeah, but I think the fundamental one is, and last year I was a very strong advocate for creating the Future Ireland Fund and the Investment, Climate and Nature Fund, which Michael McGrath legislated for. And I was probably one of the strongest advocates in government for that because of the need to put money aside, both for future demographic pressures in terms of health, because we will live longer, so there will be higher health expenditure in the future, and also pensions to make sure we have enough money in the future to pay for pensions. On the Investment, Climate and Nature Fund, I was anxious that we would put aside funding for infrastructure. If we lost revenue in the coming years, that we would have enough funding put aside to finish the projects that we would have started. Because when you have a recession or if you have a decline in revenue, the first item that gets cut is capital projects. So I'm hoping through the Investment, Climate and Nature Fund that we will have sufficient funds put aside to, say, for example, complete the metro or to complete various road projects that are underway, and that you don't have a stop-start nature to infrastructure. It's exactly why we put those funds aside. And then in terms of the 3 billion that we got from the sale of AIB, we haven't put that into current funding, and we've put that into housing, which I think everyone agrees is the number one social item or issue facing us. $1 billion into water infrastructure, which again helps the economy, because many of the foreign direct investment companies and indigenous companies are saying we need stronger water infrastructure through wastewater treatment plants and water supply. And then the investment in the energy grid, 750 million. We didn't spend the Apple money in this budget. We have produced a paper which outlines the 4 pillars that we should use the Apple money for. Again, housing, water, transport, which is your rail and some roads, and of course the energy. So more money will go into the grid. Now, foreign direct investment companies will take heart from that, and they will say, well, that's investment in the future, and it's not spending it all on current funding. And then the investment in third level is significant. We're using the surplus international training fund to deal once and for all with the core funding gap in universities and third level institutions, which has been identified for quite some time. And we did take criticism, probably correct, that we hadn't plugged that gap sufficiently in the last number of years. But that's about 150 annually, I think, just for core funding alone. And there'll be other funding for capital investment in third level. And the Irish economy, the fundamental game changer in the Irish economy started in the 1960s with free second-level education, and then successive governments, including when I was Minister for Education myself, invested hugely in third level. And that investment in human capital is the best guarantor of a future economy. Now, I accept that the reason we did the cost of living package is because by any yardstick, from the Russian invasion of Ukraine, cost of living has gone up immeasurably, with 19 points. In 3 years. People still feel it. So we felt a need to try and, this year at least, deal with the cost of living pressures that people are under. We haven't eroded the tax base dramatically. We've kept all the main taxes. And we have reduced taxation in terms of income tax and USC. But Ireland's taxation system is probably one of the most progressive in Europe. The highest earners pay the most.
Would you reject IFAC's assessment then of the budget, that obviously, as I say, they're criticising it?
I respect IFAC. I think IFAC have a role to play. It's independent. And that's important, and that's the essence of democracy, that we have checks and balances in our system. And that's good that IFAC make its comments. Although the one issue, it's saying we need investment in third level, investment in water, energy is serious investment. So that use of the word serious, no, I take issue with. We are serious in terms of how we're dealing with Apple, how we've dealt with the AIB funding, I would argue.